an invention born of opposing ambitions.
In the year 2085, a young man named Konstantin is preoccupied with wealth and readily takes on any projects promising profit. His friend Nikolai bets on intelligence. Konstantin passionately invents a device that will help translocate consciousness, which he aptly names the translocator. Konstantin immediately comes up with a catchy slogan for selling the device, but Nikolai tempers his friend's enthusiasm as it's not even clear if this translocator works.
A desperate test, a defining failure.
Konstantin promises to bring a rat for an experiment, but instead brings a man named Vitaly who is willing to swap consciousness with a dog. Nikolai refuses to conduct experiments on a human. Desperate for results, Konstantin conducts the experiment himself. Nikolai arrives when the man is already convulsing inside the device's force field. The transference is complete. However, the dog remains silent while Vitaly speaks up, signaling a failure. Konstantin is ashamed that at the age of 25 he's still asking for money from his mother. Meanwhile, Nikolai suggests starting a company with the slogan, "A robot in every home," and producing affordable helpers for every citizen.
A homesteader's life on the Red Planet.
15 years later, Nikolai enjoys family life on Mars and manages his robotic farm. He films reports about his farm showcasing the dairy products he's obtained through hard work and introduces his helpers robots Galosha, Stepan, and Valera. The sentient tractor Misha gets upset with his forgetful owner, but Nikolai quickly rectifies the situation. He also has a favorite hobby, breeding copters, which greatly annoys his wife Nadida. He introduces his eldest daughter Marina, who is not enthusiastic about farm life, and his younger daughter Lyudmila, who is passionate about constructing cyber-weather installations in the form of Russian birches.
An emperor in a gilded cage.
Meanwhile, the CEO of a major corporation, Konstantin Baragozin, is indulging in some pool time while contemplating his portrait on the moon, when he is informed about the arrival of shareholders. Irritated, he angrily insults the shareholders who have just entered his office. Failing to provide clear answers, he is threatened with a change in leadership. He reminds them that Ajev's dynamics is his brainchild and it was he who came up with the slogan about robots in every home. To this they respond that the controlling stake of shares is in their hands.
A desperate plan targets a distant farm.
Konstantin urgently needs to come up with something positive, which he passes on to his assistant. Unable to think of anything better, Pavel announces the construction of a new factory on Mars. The shareholders like the idea and Konstantin is given 1 month to execute it. However, it turns out that the eccentric person who built the farm in the right location refuses to sell it for any amount of money. Konstantin orders that this stubborn person be shown to him and is surprised to see his childhood friend Nikolai.
An old friend, an open wound.
Spaceships land on the farm, and from the largest one emerges a delegation led by Konstantin, who rushes to embrace his old friend. However, Nikolai isn't particularly thrilled with the guests. Konstantin is amazed by the abundance of goats which have long been extinct on Earth. But Nikolai doesn't want to talk about his achievements because he's deeply resentful of Konstantin's underhanded takeover of their joint company. Konstantin suggests putting the past behind them.
When an empire tries to buy a dream,
Konstantin offers a huge sum of money, enough for Nikolai to settle anywhere, even on Jupiter's moon Europa. For this suggestion, he immediately receives a punch in the face. Enraged, the director signals his assistant to read out a decree declaring the corporation as the owner of Mars, and the demolition of the farm buildings begins immediately. This is when Nadida steps into the fray, but Konstantin's henchmen grabbed the family and locked them in a hangar.
the chaos of a simple robot.
Suddenly the man realizes that the robot Vanya is missing and sees that it is still carrying out its task. Nikolai outwits the guards and escapes from the hangar. Meanwhile, Konstantin finds a sink and starts washing up, taking off his expensive jacket which the robot Vanya promptly mistakes for a rag and adapts it to clean the floor. An infuriated Konstantin runs after the robot.
A twist of fate in an old invention.
At that moment the workers dismantle the farm's generators and Nikolai, who has rushed into the barn, shoves his former friend, causing him to land precisely in the translocator chair. The device activates. When it all ends, Nikolai tries to activate Vanya, but it suddenly starts speaking with Konstantin's intonation, threatens to destroy the entire farm. Seeing the man's body, the robot begins to scream, realizing that its consciousness has ended up in Vanya's body.
The body is taken. The mind is left behind.
Nikolai is pleased that the translocator works, and the robot becomes angry, demanding to be returned. Meanwhile, Konstantin's body begins to behave erratically, which his assistant notices. Pavel orders that the suffering CEO be taken away, pushing aside the annoying piece of machinery. Nikolai sees Konstantin being loaded onto a spaceship where his family is and rushes after them. But the spaceship takes off, leaving Nikolai and Vanya with the CEO's consciousness in an iron head.
A CEO's first steps in a new body.
At night, Nikolai fixes his car, all while enduring Konstantin's reproaches, who demands that the man urgently take him back to Earth, for which they need to reach the train station. Nikolai scolds the inept CEO, who then sets off on foot but gets stuck in Martian sand. In the morning, Nikolai finds him and, upon hearing his promise not to interfere with the farm, digs out the robot and drives it to the train station, encountering a Martian sandstorm along the way.
A power vacuum and a holographic life.
Pavel arrives at the office and sees damaged robots, scattered belongings, and an incoherent CEO who makes him eat soap. He calls a doctor who gives a startling diagnosis. Baragozin's memories and personality have been erased, and his level of development is that of a 1-year-old child. Meanwhile, his wife Galina reminds him that their family is drowning in subscriptions. In reality, she's just a hologram, just like the children she made him subscribe to. After expressing all his grievances, the man unpauses Galina, who, upon realizing that he had paused her, becomes furious.
A ticket to Earth and a test of character.
Nikolai's car approaches the city of Marziansk when an elderly woman asks for a ride. The group arrives at the train station, but there are no tickets left for the train to Earth. Vanya notices a ticket with the elderly fellow passenger. Vanya brings a ticket to Nikolai and the couple boards the train, but then the man sees the elderly lady outside the window and realizes where the robot got it. Vanya, pretending to be Konstantin, promises to send a shuttle for the old lady, but Nikolai knows the true value of his promises.
The best laid plans of men and robots.
Nikolai demands that the robot apologize, return the ticket, and put the grandmother on the train. Vanya literally tosses the old lady into a moving car. When the grandmother standing on the platform addresses them, it turns out that Vanya put a completely different grandmother in the car. Nikolai sends Vanya to catch up with the train and remove the wrong grandmother, while he helps the actual traveler catch up. But the grandmother activates the rocket engine on her suitcase trolley and catches up with the train herself. The train departs.
Off course. Vanya expresses everything he thinks about Nikolai's softness, which caused their separation. Vanya finds a space mail ticket. Nikolai has an epiphany. The couple heads to the post office and set out on their journey to Earth in a postal box. But there's a mix-up at the sorting, and the package veers off course to Pluto. Meanwhile, Nikolai's family returns to Mars in a hacked rescue capsule. Landing in the desert, they immediately spot their car passing by. That's where the second episode ends.